Welcome to the new episode of Quest4Twice. This is a video blog to document my quest to earn significant return through investment. And when I say significant return, I measure against my former salary before my layoff. So I'm aiming for twice of my former salary, and in the span of less than 2 years. And I would like to deploy my capital efficiently and measure against the SP 500 index. And I want to be able to earn higher return than the market return. As I mentioned before, I believe I stand a chance to compete against the investment professionals because of the following 3 points. The first one is that I have the mentality to buy fractional ownership of a good business that's on sale. The second one is that I'll be patient and not driven by short-term performance of the stocks I own. The third one is that I'll be calm and feel greedy during the market panic and fearful during market euphoria. However, it's not that easy to do all those 3 things. In this episode, I'm going to discuss a real life experience that when those 3 things conflict among themselves. So last week, I presented my research results of AdCore International. It was a very good, profitable business, generated a lot of cash even during the pandemic. I believe that its short-term downside risk is quite manageable, and the longer-term opportunity to the upside is quite substantial, especially that it may benefit the long-term tailwind from energy transition and the electrification of our economy. However, I had quite a bit of a dilemma before I could execute my purchase. I bought 0.2x of AdCore stock at $29.4 per share on last Friday. I actually felt AdCore stocks deserved more than my investment of 0.2x of my former salary. And I had a fear of missing out, that this undervalued stock may be discovered by others and just take off, so that I will miss the opportunity to really earn a significant return. But on the other hand, the market in general was in a fairly greedy mood, which often leads to pullbacks in the short term. So how could I tell it was in a greedy mode? I use the fear and greed index, and that's available at money.cnn.com. So this fear and greed index quantify the market sentiment of fear versus greed. So if it's at 50, then that means it's a neutral, neither too fearful nor too greedy. If it's at 75 or above, then that's extreme greed. And if it's 25 or less, then that's extreme fear. So at the end of last week, it was a borderline between greed and extreme greed. And I felt that the market may pull back. And if I waited, if AdCore stock fell with the general market together, then I would have got better entry point. So I had a market timing dilemma last week. Eventually, so this was also a conflict between the three points I mentioned previously. The mentality of buying good company at an attractive price versus patience and be fearful when the market feels great. If I went with my first point of buying a good profitable company at a good price, then I should have purchased the Adcore stock without any reservation. However, the second and third point of patience and being fearful when the market was greedy, also the inclination to wait and to try to time the market for a better entry point. Eventually, I try to reconcile the two conflicting aspects by investing a relatively small part of my portfolio in Adcore stock. So this is a good time to review my quote-unquote hedge fund performance. So the top graph shows the few trades I did in this year. The up arrows were the trades to purchase stocks. And the down arrows were the two trades I did to sell stocks. At the bottom, that shows the historical fear and greed index in this year. And I also lined up my few trades on this index of fear and greed. You could see that I timed it very well at the end of March, and when the market was extremely fearful. And in early June, I had a reasonably well-timed sales trade. The market pulled back after a short-term high of greed. So my capital deployed is still 2.7x. Because of the trade I did last week to purchase the Adcore stock. Now my cash position is about 29%. My profit is 0.6 and the rate of return is 24%. Comparing to my index of a dollar cost averaging, and the cash position would be 0% because that's assuming monthly purchase of a fixed amount. And the rate of return in this year would be 16%. So my hedge fund is still leading by 8%. And hopefully I will have a better entry point coming up to buy substantially more Adcore stock. We shall see how the market goes. Until next time.